Nice to see everybody here today. I am joined today by Devin Drabeck of Lighten Up Harrisburg and Kevin Baum, who is the street light coordinator for the city of Harrisburg. We are here in Shipoke on sort of a gray day to try and bring some light and positive news about our plans to brighten up the city of Harrisburg. There's been a lot of talk about a LED light conversion, and we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I have interviewed a variety of engineering and electrical contracting firms, and the city will be issuing an RFP for the conversion of all of our lights to LED. That will include the Cobra head type light fixture behind you with the sort of reaching out form, of which we have over 4,000 lights in the city of Harrisburg, as well as the decorative acorn-like fixtures that are often in our historic districts. And each of these require a different type of retrofit kit. So there's a lot of work and a lot of engineering that is involved in that. The reason that we have been moving relatively methodically over the past several months is because this is a multi-million-dollar project which is going to be able to save the city of Harrisburg a guaranteed energy savings of at least $250,000 a year. So it's a big, big deal. And we've got to get it right. We've got to select the right engineering firm to help guide us through this process. We've got to select the right fixtures, and there's going to be a competitive bidding process between the various companies that make these LED fixtures. And we need to identify the source of funds. And my proposed source of funds is coming from the infrastructure silo that was set aside as a part of the Strong Plan to help pay for this. And they should be ready, and I continue to press them, to hopefully release funds before the end of this year. So that is our time schedule. Our job is to get everything in place before then. But before we can move to the LED light conversion, we've got two issues. We have to replace the broken wiring in the city of Harrisburg, and we have to replace the missing poles throughout the city of Harrisburg. And we have a plan now to go methodically neighborhood by neighborhood and replace all of the missing poles throughout the city of Harrisburg. And we're doing it in part with help from our friends at Lighten Up Harrisburg and with a new directive to our streetlights coordinator and the engineering team to prioritize that in advance of the light conversion. We are here today because you'll see behind you a giant patch of dirt there, and that's where recently our public works crew came, dug up the old wiring and replaced it, and finally got these lights behind you back on. They've been out, I believe now, since 2011, but they're back on. They've replaced or fixed right here in Shipoke five fixtures. I'll let Kevin, let me introduce Kevin to say a few words, and I'll come back, I'll introduce Devin, and we can talk more globally about the issues. But Kevin, let's talk about what you're going to be doing.
Okay.
And what you have done here.
The mayor requested that the traffic engineering department set aside 1 or 2 days a week from our normal routine work to start installing light fixtures that have been missing due to storm damage or traffic accidents. The department started to do this install work about May 5th. It's about a week and a half ago, and we've already installed 7 new light fixtures so far. 3 along the Front Street corridor and 4 others in the city. We have about 65 fixtures that need replaced. This is the first step in moving forward in implementing the LED project. These fixtures have to be in place so we are able to retrofit them for the LED. Down here in the Shipoke area along Front Street, a total of 8 lights have been repaired in the entire area. 5 along Riverfront Park. As the mayor had mentioned, we had a storm in 2011 that uprooted a tree, and the roots pulled our underground wiring up. We were able to dig that up, repair the wiring, and get all these lights along here working. So that's where we stand. If we get these lights put in over the summer, we'll be ready to do the LED project.
Thanks, Kevin. And part of this is allocating our limited resources and prioritizing the replacement of the missing poles and the broken wiring. We can't do this alone. I mentioned the task force money as a source of funds for helping to pay for the lighting conversion. But in terms of replacing the actual missing poles and the broken wiring, we've looked to a variety of sources and partners. The city actually has a stockpile of poles recently ordered, coming in shortly, I think, additional poles. And you'll start to see all those put out. But we're currently raising funds to replace even more. And to tell you a little bit about an upcoming fundraiser that Lighten Up Harrisburg is doing to help the city buy more poles is Devin Drabeck here from Lighten Up Harrisburg. Thank you, Devin.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I'm here to tell you a little bit about a new fundraiser that we're launching this year. We're going to be having a Glow Run 5K right here in Riverfront Park. This benefits Lighten Up Harrisburg and the Historic Harrisburg Association so that they can raise funds to help with some of the poles that the mayor is talking about here. It's going to be held on June 7th, and we'd love to have the community's participation and support to come on out. The actual race begins at 8:30 in the evening. Registration will open at 7 a.m. at Sawyer's downtown, so please join us for a good time. We'll also have some speakers there to share a little bit more about exactly where the money's going and what everybody's registration does as far as replacing bulbs and putting new poles up. So I hope to see you all there. You can register online at historicharrisburg.com, or you can see these posters all around the community and they'll give you more information. Okay?
Thank you. Thanks, Devin. And that's the Glow Run coming up here shortly to raise money in part for helping us replace poles that are missing throughout the city. The city's done a number of things over the past several months in addition to interviewing engineering firms and trying to formulate an RFP that's going to take into account all the information that we need to get this project done well. We've also conducted an internal energy audit, and we've spent the time to match all of our electrical bills with all of the various lighting fixtures throughout the city of Harrisburg, and you would be amazed at how many different types of bulbs and fixtures there are. One of the great things about the LED conversion is that when it happens, everything will be standardized, and you'll literally be able to sit at a computer. Kevin will be able to sit at a computer in Public Works and have instantaneous information if a light is out or if there's a problem anywhere in the city of Harrisburg. The fixtures that will be coming will have 10-year warranties, and it'll just make the maintenance. It'll save incredible amounts on just the maintenance costs alone, both in terms of time and the replacement costs for these lights. We're fairly confident now, and I wanted to do this fundraiser in that we will be able to achieve an energy savings of at least $250,000. That's just by doing the Cobra heads alone, and not even accounting for the Acorn-like historic structure sort of single fixtures. We got those numbers yesterday as part of our internal review, and as I say, we are ready to issue that RFP. I believe it can still be done before the end of the year. The key is, however, making sure that we can get a portion of that funding from the task force, which is currently at work on determining means of spending the infrastructure money that was set aside as a part of the STRONG plan. We have a number of city representatives on that task force. We're in constant communication with them, and we do expect them to be up and running and able to make those awards before the end of the year. So that's our time frame. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have, either about the specifics of the project that happened here or the plans for the future. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I know Mayor Thompson, she had a contract on the table from Phillips. I mean, are you doing a new set of RFPs, or are you taking a look at the Phillips contract?
We are going to. Mayor Thompson did not do an RFP. Mayor Thompson did have a proposal on the table from Phillips, which we reviewed. And we will encourage Phillips to bid as a part of the RFP process. But I think there is some benefit in going with an engineering firm, which will then try and achieve the greatest savings by having Phillips bid against all the other companies. Phillips is an excellent company. Its fixtures have been chosen as recently as in Bethlehem, where they're currently doing a major LED conversion process. We haven't chosen who we will go with, but we have determined the process that we want to go with, which is to try and make it as competitively bid as possible, and we'll see who can do it. All of them are going to work under what the state calls the Guaranteed Energy Savings Act, and it's basically a state program by which we will be able to guarantee, or whoever does the work will be able to guarantee the savings over time, which will allow us to be absolutely 100% certain in what the city is going to be able to save. And we estimate that although this is a multi-million-dollar project, it can be paid back just in the savings alone. It can be paid back in between 5 to 7 years, depending on what we're doing, which is an incredible thing to think about. Yeah. Money's going to come from a variety of sources, but we certainly hope the majority will come from the infrastructure silo, which was set aside as a part of the Strong Plan. The ballpark cost is somewhere between $2 and $3 million, and that would be for the Cobra Head portion alone, which is probably going to be phase 1. And by Cobra Head, again, it's those types of fixtures which have the lights that reach out. Over 4,000. Do you know the exact number? I think it's like 4,100 or 4,200 Cobra Head lights throughout the city. And yeah, 4,269. And our internal audit has shown that just in replacing those, based on the energy savings, we could save over $250,000 a year just on replacing those light fixtures.
And when do you plan to award the contract?
We're going to first send it out. We're going to first issue the RFP. We expect to do that in the next couple of weeks. We would then review all of the data, hire the firm, and then hopefully secure the financing in consultation with that firm and move forward by the end of the summer into the fall. The goal would be to get the conversion process done before it starts to freeze, before the winter. And to do that, it's going to be a rigorous schedule, but it still can be achieved. In Bethlehem, they've been able to do it, I think, over the course of about 4 to 6 weeks once everything's been put together, at least phase 1, again, which is the Cobra Heads.
As far as replacing the light poles and fixtures, I know manpower has been an issue getting that done. So, are you getting any sort of outside help? Is Public Works capable? How are you going about doing that?
Right. Public Works would not be doing the LED conversion. That would be bid out as a part of the overall project. You'd hire additional local labor to do the conversion and to do the project management. You really have to determine the project manager, who's going to do the labor, and the fixture. But all of that will be a part of the upcoming process.
But before that, you said that everything needs to be
before that,
before you.
Public Works, which is really Kevin here, and a few others that are trained electricians, are going to be replacing the broken wiring and the missing fixtures. That's what we're announcing today. You see an example of the replacing of the broken wiring today. They've already started replacing some of the missing fixtures. We're raising money to replace the rest of the missing fixtures, some of the noticeable ones right on Front Street here. That has to be done in advance of the conversion. You got to have the pole and the wiring done before you can convert the fixtures.
But is manpower limited in doing that? Because I know time and time again we get calls from people whose poles are down or their light fixtures are out. And I'm assuming that it's a manpower issue getting to each and every neighborhood. So is that...
It absolutely is a manpower issue. We have really a skeleton crew here at the city, but what we have instructed Public Works to do is to set aside a portion of each work week to focus on lighting. And that's the best way that we could do it, basically a divvying up of priorities. And that's why they've had the time to come out and do this and do some other projects. And they're going to be doing it on a weekly basis, which I think is really important. What the community needs to know and understand is that once we convert to this new LED technology, it's going to be much easier to monitor. The lights are going to be stable. They're going to be guaranteed for years. And we're not going to have the problems that we have right now with a whole mixed match of different things and older fixtures that are going out really constantly throughout the city. Everything will be stable. Yeah.
Lighting, street lighting comes down to a safety issue. I guess, that's the main reason for doing it, right?
Right.
Is there a tangible difference between the LED lighting and the lighting that the city has used now in terms of candle power or whatever you measure?
Absolutely. I could opine on that, but maybe Kevin, as the trained electrician, you could talk a little bit about the LED lights and what they're capable of.
Sure. The lumens of that light fixture is a bright white fixture. It's almost daylight at nighttime. These fixtures will probably be 10 times, if I may, what's there now in brightness. They'll really throw out the light, and it'll be a pure white, bright light, very crisp light.
And the technology allows for us to be able to dim the fixtures, to save electricity, or to, in some cases, sometimes on motion sensors. Really depends. That'll be part of the comprehensive lighting engineering study for the city. But it's going to be bright white light. And I would encourage anyone in the media who has the opportunity to go see what they've done in Bethlehem. The entire hue of the city has changed. It's much brighter.
The acorn lights.
Yeah.
The acorn lights. This is the corporate.
And how many acorn lights do we have?
Is that by this year as well, or is that for next year?
That would be phase 2, and I don't think that would be. It's still possible, and we have 1,131 acorn lights. And by acorn lights, those are basically the freestanding pole-like lights that have some sort of an acorn-like head to them. In many cases, those lights are newer and they're more efficient. So we're not going to see as much of a savings as we are from the Cobra heads. But there's still going to be a savings. And by combining them in the project, we're going to have the overall savings to be able to do it. And those are more of a retrofit kit. You keep the fixture, but you put in place an internal retrofit kit. Whereas for these Cobra heads, you're literally replacing the end piece, which is the whole lighting component.
I did put some in Market Share, Square,
There are some in they're yes.
So, you're like, you know the acorn system, the whole bunch of decapitated acorns.
That's right.
In town, are you going to replace all that wiring for the actual legacy distributors?
Yes, that's the goal of Public Works. This is a two-pronged announcement. It's to say that they're going to be out fixing the wiring and replacing the missing poles while we continue this RFP process and we get ready to do the conversion, so that when we do the conversion, that's already in place. And how many missing fixtures do we have in the city of Harrisburg?
Somewhere in the area of 65 total. And that includes several Cobra heads along Front Street. I believe it's 15. And the rest are mainly acorn style throughout the city.
And I'm aware of the ones in Midtown, and it's been a funding issue for a long time. But as I say, we actually have poles in stock, and it's really more of an allocation of our resources and a prioritization of what we're doing.
So the next couple months, we're going to see all those big replacements.
You're going to see on a weekly basis poles replaced throughout the city, and thus far in the first couple of weeks, you can probably do a couple a week.
Yeah.
So over time, we're going to get to all of them. And that's going to go concurrently with the bid process and the engineering process for the LED project, so that by the time they get ready to install them, both have been completed.
And what's the lifespan of the LED lighting as compared to what's happening?
Yeah, it's over 10 years. It's like 12 to 12. It depends on the fixture that we buy, but they're warranted for 10 years, and they last a lot longer. Most of our lights, I think their lifespan is a similar span, but we've reached the end of the lifespan. So rather than continue to spend a lot of money on those, we want to go with a citywide change to LED.
Here, I don't know if you said this, have you all tested out the LED lights here?
Yes, samples. There are examples of retrofit kits up, and I think we don't have any cover heads that we've tested here, but we've seen them, and I've toured other cities where I've seen them in action. But again, when we pick the fixture, which will be part of this process, because we haven't determined if we're going to go with the Philips fixture or a different company, we will then put several up to test and look. And part of the process is they also can make filters for these lights, so that certain areas you might want them a little bit of a different hue than in other areas. You can dim them. Part of that adjusting is what an engineer in the public process is going to be all about. I wish we could move faster on this. I mean, one of the questions you could say is, why haven't we gone faster? And the reason is because it's a multi-million-dollar project, and the city needs the resources that were allocated as part of the infrastructure silo in the Strong Plan to be able to do it. It's that simple. We're not in a position to go out and borrow on the open markets yet. We'd like to be. We might be able to use it as a match to help secure some other borrowing, but that's really the issue, the funding. Our resources we're going to put into replacing the poles and fixing the wiring. That's going to be both our labor resources and our material resources within our public works budget, just like we did here in Shipoke just recently.
Are there any streets or particular neighborhoods that are first priority?
We're going to try and spread it out throughout the whole city. Yep, and as Kevin said, we got 75 or so missing lights. We'll try and really spread it out so that everybody feels we're getting there. We did choose this one here symbolically. Shipoke's been in the news a lot, and we want to bring some positive news and good cheer for what's happening here. This is going to be bright and beautiful for the summer. It's one of the most wonderful places to walk and stroll in the city. And we also wanted to emphasize our upcoming Glow Run that'll take place right here in Riverfront Park. Yes?
Hey, with regard to your audit, I think you said 65 fixtures are missing. Do you know, if you look at the whole stock of light poles, so there's 4,000 of the one type and 1,000 vehicle, how many of them are actually lighting up at night? Is it like a third of them are out?
It's safe to say I probably have 1% of those out at all times. It's safe to say that I probably have 1% of those out at all times due to ballast, light bulbs, the electric eyes. So we do send a crew out, and that's why we set 2 days aside to replace poles. The other days we're going to go out, public requests, complaints, and repair those lights in those neighborhoods that are out.
But
I think a third is a high estimate. I know that's been...
The missing is only 1%.
Yes.
Or the
broken. Between the missing and the burned out fixtures, I think it's safe to say 1%. Yep.
And in terms of the energy savings, the lights that have been out have been factored into that. The energy savings was based on our actual energy consumption, the actual wattage of the fixtures, and what changing it to the new LED fixtures would make. So if we weren't paying on those lights, they weren't factored into the savings yet. Okay, thank you all. Yes, one more.
Unrelated subject.
Unrelated.
What about the sinkhole situation over at the Alien Bus?
Is this a new sinkhole that? I don't know. Do we have any information on that? Did that just happen today? Last night? Okay. Well, I thought you were going to ask me about the sinkhole on South 14th Street, which is where I was last night, and we had a really, I think, very positive meeting with the neighbors there. It was well attended, and a lot of people expressed their frustrations. The city listened, and we've been trying to get the residents of that area in touch with the local resources that are available. And we're going to be having another series of conversations this afternoon about how we can bring additional resources to bear for the city of Harrisburg. We have 9 homes that have been declared unfit for human habitation, and we're in the process of conducting an engineering study of that whole area, but we're dealing with a major geological problem based in the limestone geology of that area, and there's not an easy fix. We've been offering free home inspections. We've been trying to look at it from a public safety angle first, and we're working closely with all the partners. Capital Region Water was there. It was a good meeting, but it's a tough, difficult situation, and we're going to continue to try and bring resources to Harrisburg to address it.
Mayor,
Yeah,
sorry.
sure.
How is the city going to go about getting paying for this study, and when do you foresee this happening?
There have been studies, there's studies ongoing. We're going to need to do a much more comprehensive study of the whole region. One of the things that came out last night at the meeting is that folks from the surrounding neighborhoods are concerned as well, because the underlying geology is the same, and they want some reassurance that on 12th Street or wherever else that they are safe as well, even though they're not seeing any symptoms of a sinkhole right immediately in their home. And the only way to do that is to really do a far wide-ranging geological survey of that whole area, and it's going to take time. It's going to cost a lot of money, and the city is going to have to pay for it. We're in the process of looking at if we can find additional funding partners for that, but we're committed to doing it because we have to do it for the residents of that area.
So those 9 families, can the city, I'm assuming the city doesn't have the money to help out at all. How long do you foresee them being displaced?
Well, there are services available to the families. The city's been working with the insurance companies and with the mortgage holders, and the county was there last night talking about what type of transitional housing might exist. We're looking at rental and relocation assistance for the families. But you're right, the city has limited resources, and this is a bigger problem. And we've already reached out to the state and the federal government to see if they can offer some assistance.
So months, we're talking about months they could be out of their homes. I mean, this is not, I mean, some people have already been out of their home for a month or a
I understand.
month and a half. So
yes.
We're talking several other.
And the underlying geology is still unstable, and it's not safe to return to those homes at this time.
So it's unclear.
It's a very difficult situation, and families are upset, and I understand that. Okay, and I'll check out the other sinkhole. Okay, thank you.
The Glow Run is organized by Lighten Up Harrisburg and Historic Harrisburg Association. Lighten Up Harrisburg is really a grassroots project that got started a couple of years ago to relight the Walnut Street Bridge, and then began working with the city to kind of replace bulbs throughout the city. Now we have the Glow Run project initiative that benefits both organizations, really to bring the community out and to take ownership of some of the infrastructure to help the city where it's most in need.
It's June 7th. Registration's online now, so check out historicharrisburg.com to register. There's a discounted fee if you do it that way. If you want to come out that night and register then, that's great. The registration starts at 7 p.m. at Sawyer's downtown, and the actual race will begin at 8:30 on Riverfront Park. Come on out, and if you feel like bringing glow gear, you're welcome to. We'll have some glow gear for everybody and glow-in-the-dark t-shirts, but if you want to make a bigger statement, feel free to dress it up.
Run the night with us.